Welcome back into ABC7's More in the Morning. Time now for our healthy living segment with personal trainer Eric STRATMAN from Crossfit Eng in Cape Coral. This morning, Eric's getting us a little bit more on the difference between whole foods versus empty calories. Now, Eric, you mentioned it while we were giving you a mic check here. You're saying that coffee, and say it isn't so, is classified technically as empty calories, right?
So that is, really, I'm glad you got to hear that, because we look at this coffee every morning. What are we doing? What's in your cup? Because that has so many empty calories. And as we've seen, the frappuccinos, lattes, it's basically caffeinated ice cream that, we're feeding ourselves in the morning. And you talk about empty calories and what we see insulin loading because we're putting so much sugar in our system. It just puts us in a downward spiral for the rest of the day. But black coffee's great, so I don't want to hurt anybody that thinks, I definitely got to have mine. I go ice with a little stevia, but, I won't lie. Last week I did have a pumpkin spice. You got to indulge every now and then. But it's really what's in your cup. You talk about coffee.
PSLs all day.
Oh,
all right,
Lord.
thank you. You gotta have it. Sorry, but
oh my gosh,
Jesslyn's not a fan.
Oh,
all right.
I mean, if you're not working, if you're not working that into your fall diet, or just lack of a little more heat for us in Florida, but it's it's important to indulge and enjoy those things. But really, on a regular basis, is 6 days a week something that is a calorie-free beverage that you're having, and then throughout the day, whether it's soda, it's juice, it's anything that's a higher calorie beverage. Is it water instead? What are we really doing? So obviously, we can talk about whole foods all we want, but if we're pumping in those empty calories just through what we're drinking, then we're adding a lot of calories to our overall consumption throughout the day that does nothing to fill us up or help us throughout our day, but it will signal our brain when we have that insulin spike to go, you're more hungry, get something more in you, I need to eat. So, that compiled. But yeah, I mean, you put that pumpkin spice or whatever into your food logging app and you see what it's worth, and you're like, man, I just had 500 calories, or some of them, it's crazy. They're 12 and 1,500 calorie drinks, and you just had that, on the way to work.
So we always talk about eating whole foods and don't have the processed foods, but why are there even processed foods if we always talk about how bad they are?
That's a question for the U.S. government. It's amazing that you see what is allowed, in the U.S. and not in other countries. I mean, obviously, we don't have to go down that rabbit hole. But, if we can empower people to understand, I mean, obviously, marketing's great. The way things taste are great, and that's why they're processed in such a way that you crave them and you want them, and when you have them, you have more of them. When you have whole foods, your body gets used to getting the nutrients it needs. You get satiated from eating them, and you improve your health immensely. That is the number one impact we can make on our health, is nutrition, and right behind that is what? Getting a little exercise in, right?
Last thing we have for you here, Eric, is probably the biggest thing that people are struggling with right now, and that is, of course, not only the discipline, but also maybe ways to avoid going after these processed foods. So maybe what are one or two ways that people can avoid going after some of these empty calories, specifically in the processed foods?
Great question. It looks at, just like we talked about pumpkin spice, if you go somewhere to have that processed food or those extra calories, but what are you shopping for? Because ultimately it's our decision what we put in our house. So if we can avoid having the processed food in our house, that bag of chips or that that popcorn's not so bad by itself, but you get stuff that has, all those processed flavorings on it. Having those go-to, cakes or snacks or sugary sweets or Halloween candy that's about to be around. It's having it when you're out of your house, not every day, but you just go out for a special treat for it. If you have fruit and vegetables in your house that you're going to make your go-to snack and you're having whole foods, then you kind of satisfy that sweet tooth a little bit and you get into a better rhythm. But when you have that choice of saying, well, you know what, I'm going to have that pumpkin spice latte or that glass of water and they're right in front of you, obviously we give into it because our brain's telling us, man, we know how satisfying and how good it is, but it's just kind of that out of sight, out of mind mentality, and just, be strategic when you shop.
Of course, we want to thank Eric Stratman, trainer with CrossFit ENG, for joining us this morning. That, of course, CrossFit location located in Cape Coral. I think we all need, you know, a little advice as the holiday season approaches here.
The temptations.
Exactly. They're everywhere.